Welcome to the Struggle Bubble. I'm your co-host, Chad Cutting.
Hello, my name's Craig Sergi, and we are in the Man Cave Struggle Bubble.
We're in the same.
We can nearly touch.
We're in the same room.
Hello.
Hello. We're on location today because Craig's going through his own struggle bubble inside his house where he can't record without something going on.
Yeah, lots of noises, lots of. We had a sleepover last night, so that was never going to work out today. So here we are.
So let's get everybody caught up on our struggle week. We had a double ear infection with Theo this week. So you can imagine the fun of had excruciating pain on the ride home from his birthday party, unfortunately. So he was in some serious pain. You know, when sometimes there's faking it, like, I don't feel good. And you're like, all right, we're going to power through this. And then there's like, should we go to the ER? We were on that side of it where he was just in some serious pain. So we go to the doctor, she looks in, and without even a half a second, yes, you're infected. Goes to the other ear. Yes, you're infected. Antibiotics. Now, a completely new kid once he gets the antibiotics in him. But the struggle for him now is he's old enough where it's not bubblegum flavored anymore.
It tastes like crap.
It's chalk, metal, whatever it is. So going through and trying to get a 9-year-old to take any type of antibiotics has been an adventure.
Yeah, you need a little bit of Mary Poppins, spoonful of sugar.
It's funny you say that because the doctor actually said, if they don't flavor it at, Walgreens, which is a whole separate, we'll talk about that event in a second of getting the prescription actually filled. If they don't do that, use chocolate syrup. So we get home like, we always have Hershey syrup lying around. No Hershey syrup. So we had to invent a little bit of a game. So we went into the trail mix, found all the little chocolate nubs, little peanut butter cups. So Lauren gets home and goes, what the hell happened to my trail mix? It's not even worth eating anymore because the chocolate's all gone.
Oh my gosh. Did you melt it or did you just put the...
No, so we had these are like little itty bitty things. So he would take 3, 1 in his mouth, would take the medicine, and then take 2 more to wash the flavor down.
Spoonful of sugar.
It was a big, more than a spoonful with the amount. And now we ran out of the trail mix, so we had to go to Sour Patch Kids.
Or you could have just gone and got some Hershey's chocolate syrup.
I could have done that, but speaking of the struggle bubble, just didn't have time over the weekend. So Dr. Susie, if you're listening, yes, it was a lot of sugar, but the pediatrician said it was okay because the antibiotics are more important.
I agree. So that sounds like a really shit weekend. Poor kid.
Well, and then the other part is we had a rough baseball game on Saturday where we came in. If you win, you advance to the next round. And unfortunately, a lot of what we've been talking about of just mentality of going into a game went down early in the first inning, and the kids just weren't able to rally and get up behind it. It was kind of a bit of a spiral of just a tough, unable to shake that feeling of, we're going to lose. And you could see the body language. So we really had to, as coaches, get into the moment of, well, how do we coach this? Because now it's not about the game. Now it's about setting up, the future of the next baseball game when you get down, or even life. And we all looked at each other, took a deep breath, and said, all right, this is where we're able to coach and educate a little bit.
Score's irrelevant at this point, and we got to start controlling the outcome of future games if they want to carry on playing. And that's... What was the final score?
Final score was 11-1.
Oh shit!
12-1. So yeah, first shit bomb in person here.
Smacksville.
Perfect.
Smacksville.
Yeah, but it's okay. It's a learning lesson. The kids are, still, it's been a great summer. They've had fun, but it was a good life lesson of not everything's going to go your way. You're going to go down, and it's how you respond to it.
Yeah, well, and I'm sure an hour after the game, they were back at doing whatever they wanted to do.
It's summertime. Everybody's having a good time.
Matters. Well, good. No, I had a good week off from the kids, so that was fine. As you know, they were in Palm Springs dancing. They did great. They got the group dance won, which was amazing. So they made the finalists. So I think it was 8,000 dances over the nation.
8,000,
and they were top 10. So the dance was called the Jungle. So that was awesome. And then Scarlett came second in category and was a top 10 finalist as well.
Awesome.
So pretty cool. And then Saturday was the recital, as you know. So the poor kids, they got in at 11:30 Friday night. I picked them up from San Jose Airport. They had to be on stage by 1:30 on Saturday to do run through before 3 o'clock recital. So they're putting in the graft for sure. They are putting in some
Yeah.
hours. They are burning at both ends right now. So it's been so today, me coming here, they've needed to sleep until 10 a.m.
Recover.
to recover. So yeah, no, it was a good weekend. And then talking about the struggle bubble, we Chad and I looked at our numbers last week, and what was it? It was subscribers were up. I think it was 2,500 people watched some of the reels on Instagram. So appreciate the love and people reaching out, and kind of sets up from the review of our weekends of we've had some Q&A come in, so we wanted to kind of answer some of those questions and give our opinion. And again, disclaimer, we are not psychologists, we are not
Definitely not.
child psychiatrists. We are two dads keeping it together as best we can on the daily.
Are we keeping it together?
Absolutely not. I will start with a very light one to you, Chad. What's your best dad joke?
Oh,
And
well,
I
I'm,
think I think I know
I
what it
think you
might be.
know. I think you know. What do you call a Frenchman in sandals?
Is it Philippe Phil?
Oh, you can't cut to the core of the joke. So for Father's Day, I got a little dad joke book, and anybody that knows me, there is no pun or dad joke, that I just can't resist myself. I can't resist the joke. So I got a little joke book, and that was one that really tickled me. And Alexa has been telling that joke nonstop.
Philippe Philop. Okay, so here's kind of a carry on for that one
Yeah.
is how important is humor in your household? Do you use it to diffuse situations?
So whether Lauren will admit it or not, I believe she was drawn to me because of my humor. All right, she's not listening upstairs, so I just want to
Humor
see.
or funny looking?
Hey, maybe a little bit of both.
Ba-bum.
But and I just did it again. The favorite character in Friends was Chandler, and Chandler had always, no matter what the moment was, how somber or serious or lighthearted, he was always break the energy there with a little bit of a joke. And that's how I believe in the family being able to cut through, because there are moments where you get caught up in yourself. You had a bad day at work, you had a bad day at the ball field, you come home and you start taking that out. You're just a storm cloud of negative energy, and people pick up on that. So being able to diffuse that situation with some type of humor is always, it's friendship too. I mean, I don't think we'd be friends if it weren't for humor.
Absolutely not. No, it's no, I'm the same as you. Like, classify the difference between sarcasm and humor is sometimes a
Yeah.
little difficult. But yeah, no, I'm the same. I especially as the kids are getting older. So as you know, the kids want to wear different clothes and talk differently and stuff, I always try and throw the humor in there, as in if you're going to go out in those shorts that short, I'm going to do the same.
You looked great this week.
Yeah, thank you. So that's where it's all gonna. Well, if you see me doing drop off in hot pants, you know why. Okay, if you could have any superpower to help with parenting, what would it be and why?
Oh man, I think the one superpower is being able to see into the future. It is so hard to go day to day with, am I messing my kid up? Am I messing the family up? Is this one decision going to lead to, if I let them on the screen right now, is that going to mess them up? If we don't do the math homework right here and now and we go get an ice cream instead, is that going to mess them up? If we don't go into the field, down the street and practice, is that going to mess them up? I would love to know how that's going to be. And I think just taking steps back and knowing that we're not perfect, and we're going to just provide a framework and go through it, always being there for the kids. It's the best we can do.
Mine's a lot easier. I just want to fly.
Dear Lord, make me a bird so I can fly far, far away.
That's where mine's at. Okay, I'll give you one more, and then we'll pick some more serious ones.
Yeah.
Are there any TV shows, movies, or books about parenting that you really connect with or enjoy?
The best parenting book, and I think I mentioned this on an earlier episode, Dr. Becky Good Inside. She gets into the psychology of parenting and really breaks down how to approach individual circumstances and put it in the kid's perspective. There is no bad kid. There is no kid that's intentionally trying to make your life miserable. They are feeling certain emotions and going through certain things, and two things can be true. That's what her big philosophy is. I can feel a certain way, you can feel a certain way, the kid can feel a certain way, and it helps provide that perspective of they're going through something. Take a deep breath. If you need a minute, take a minute, but then meet them on their level. And it's been really eye-opening to be able to go through and see parenting in a different perspective and know that you don't have to be perfect when you're trying
Yeah,
to parent.
that's pretty big. I think that's a big one in doing coaching
Yep.
and parenting, etc. All right, there's one more then. What children's book or movie are you secretly have you secretly enjoyed more than your kids?
Secretly enjoyed more than my kids. I think every Pixar movie that's ever come out. We just saw Inside Out 2, and I'm experiencing it on a whole another level than they're experiencing it. They liked it, but then you're going through and seeing some big themes that they're going through that we're going through, and I think along the entire Pixar catalog, they like them, but don't appreciate them as much. What about you?
I mean, our list is pretty bad. So, uh,
Blending?
I mean, Adam Sandler's like number one, right? So it's always Blended or Happy Gilmore. I'm not allowed to show him Little Nicky yet.
That's probably for the better. Good job, Britt.
What else do we generally watch? Some of the Disney ones drive me mental, so I'm not a huge fan of all of those. Oh, one that flip that I just can't. Is it Red or something? Ah, Jesus, I can't. It's not. It's not a fan favorite. Scarlett loves it. Doesn't get the meaning of it, but she loves the big red panda. I. It's a terrible movie.
Okay, so you took the question in inverse. What movie do they enjoy that you absolutely despise?
Yeah, don't want anything to do with
If
it.
anybody from Disney is listening,
Yeah, can just take a
Craig's
note.
opinions are not necessarily
Yeah,
my own.
if you're at Disney, start watching Adam Sandler movies. Um, all right, so some more serious questions.
Okay, I'll
And I don't want to go too far down the into the weeds here, but how would you describe your parenting style? Have you always been this way, or has it evolved over time? Which is a very big question.
describe my parenting style. Chaos, a chaos storm. I recently turned 40, and the lens of life. I always thought when you're older, you like things flip, and you're just like, I am older, I am mature, I am actively 40 years old. I should be a parent. I should be this far in my life. Everyone's flying by the seat of pants. The humor that you asked about is still a 14-year-old boy in my head. So, I mean, the parenting style that you naturally go in with is the style that your parents had with a little modification of, oh, I'm going to do this differently. And then you're presented with the moment of, here's a chance to test that. And you handle it probably the way you didn't want to handle it. So I think it's my parenting style, if I'm being honest, is inconsistent. If I'm having a good day, I'm the best dad. I feel so good about it. We'll take things calmly and all that. If it's a bad day or things aren't, working out as intended, it starts to get frustrating. You have a lot of stress on your mind. You want to get certain things done. I want to get this workout in. I want to go have a beer with Craig, and life gets in the way. So I think in those moments, it's a constant improvement.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good. I think it's major. I think everyone's in the same turmoil at the same time, right? And I think people try and overanalyze it a little bit as well. I want to make sure that the minute I finish work, I engage in as a dad. But I just don't. Again, we talk about work-life balance every week, and there is no work-life balance. It's just life. And I think we get caught in that. Well, the minute I finish work, I'm going to be the best dad in the world, and we're going to do this, this, and this. Don't even try and put that up there, right? Just try and roll with the balance slash imbalance of what's going to hit us next in the face and deal with that situation as it rolls. So
One thing I didn't fully appreciate as a kid is the fatigue level of the parent. So your mom or dad goes, hey, I'm a little tired. I'm gonna go, let me sit down for a second. I just came home from work. Let me sit down for a second. And as a kid, you're like, no, let's get up and go. Get up and go. I've been waiting for you all day. But now you get it from the minute your eyes are opening, you're thinking about the next thing that needs to be done throughout the day. Who you need to take care of, including yourself, significant other, kids, friends. And then you get all the way through it, and 4 o'clock comes around, 5 o'clock comes around, and you're like, man, I need a beat. I need to take a second deep breath. But then you have the guilt that just layers right on top of it. I want to go outside and kick that ball. I want to go play catch. I want to go to golf land. And following up on a past episode, I did take Theo to golf land. We had a great time, but you try and fulfill and live up to everything you think they need.
Well, and again, not to be a therapist or psychiatrist, but the power of no, right? And that's really difficult to your kid. Saying no at work and saying no to friends and stuff like that, you can easily get around that one, but doing it to your kids is a little bit more difficult. But I also go back down to I want the kids to be bored, to be creative at the same time, right? And I think I talked about this a week or two ago. We've started to do puzzles, and I just start the puzzle and I leave it and just see if any of the kids come in and start doing it rather than trying to find the TV remote or a phone or something electrical.
How has that experiment worked so far?
On and off, actually, interestingly, because I started doing it, then Brenton started to put some pieces in, and then it encourages the family to do it.
Yeah.
And actually, Chloe's pretty creative. Last night, just side topic, she made her own game up for dinner time. So one thing we've done, and I'll take 30 seconds here, is we make games up at dinner time. So Chloe started one. I'm thinking of a Disney character. You got to ask me Q&A to find out who I'm thinking of, right? Or I'm thinking of a ride at Disneyland. What part of the theme or part of the park is it in? So we always make up these games. And then last night she says, "How well do you know Chloe?" So she asked 10 questions, and we had to go around and be like, what's her favorite color? What's her favorite food? Where does she want to travel to? So that was kind of
Is there a winner of that game?
not a chance. Um, the winner's Chloe because
I
then she'll roll back and
uh,
be like,
that was my thought.
um,
Did you know more about Chloe, or did Britt know more about Chloe?
actually, interestingly, it was a bit of an even keel because some of the answers were a little bit sketch. So she's, full of shit, manipulating it to whatever.
Well, she also uses humor in her daily life. I think she has had a running joke now for 6 years of calling me by a different name. Hey, Billy. Hey, Austin. Hey, Tommy. She loves it.
She loves it. And then yesterday it was like, where's the one place that you want to travel to on Earth? And she was like, I want to go to Tokyo. I want to go to Japan. So that was great. So that was something like
A
I
little
knew
inside
she
knowledge.
wanted that. I already knew that, but it was like a kind of a family thing of like, oh, maybe somewhere in the future that's, if it stays consistent. So um I don't know if it was part of me starting the puzzles
Mm.
was starting to generate the creativity side of it because I said we've done it for a while at dinner times, but it was interesting. Yeah, they've started to do it, and it was even more interesting because Juju stayed over last night and she started doing the puzzle as well. So then that triggered
Yeah.
everybody trying to.
Those types of activities that are just there because we have such a front and center life. If it's not in sight, it's out of mind. Every holiday we go back to Ohio, and my mom will get out a puzzle, and that's kind of the task, and then everybody will join in and have their own little corner or color scheme or whatever it is, and it really brings everybody into that moment. And you're not sitting around watching TV. You're there bonding and
Well, I think it to your point just then about your parents being tired, that's a great time that I'm not thinking about other things I've got going on in life and I'm doing this and it dissolves that stress level. Also gives us that respite needed. And as I said, last night, I'm gonna look straight at the camera here, Scarlett would not get in the shower until I tagged her, and the little bugger kept running outside and running around until I tagged her to get in the shower. So it evolved pretty quick last night of
what a great tactic though, right? She wanted to play and didn't want to shower, so she delayed the shower long enough to play tag with you
she
outside.
nearly got thrown in the shower in clothes.
I was gonna say, but you played tag fully clothed
Yeah,
outside. Okay, it wasn't
yeah, exactly. She wasn't ready for the
okay.
shower, and
Full
then
clarity for the
just
audience.
butt naked run outside. No, she that was it's pretty smart of her, little sod.
So I'm gonna flip the script on you just a second. We'll go back to your questions, but let's have a controversial question here. If you didn't have your two children right now, what would you be doing?
Driving a Porsche.
No hesitation. No hesitation. So when you see the girls dancing and the invoices come through, that's all you see. That's a down payment. That's a down payment.
I
That's a down
see
payment.
mortgage, 9/11. Uh, no, so on a serious note, the way that I look at that side of the house is they are only going to be potentially doing this, and this is all sports, not just dance, but they're only going to be doing it till they're 18 around me, right? At 18, it's either college or professional or whatever that turns out to be. So at this moment in time, I've only got 7 more years of Chloe doing this. So in my mind, I've got 7 more years of seeing her do it, seeing her perform, letting her experience with these things. And I'm sure last week in Palm Springs, as we all know from being kids, the best times were not actually playing or performing. It was great, but it was hanging out with your friends. And that's what builds that, as I kind of call it, that thick skin ability through life, right? You're gonna go through different friend groups. You're gonna have issues with best friends that you may not talk to for a few years, and they come back and you like all those things. And I think that's all built there. So yeah, as I see these invoices coming in, I'm like, I've literally only got 7 more years of Chloe, and that's if she goes all the way to 18. As we know, the amount of kids that quit sports by the time they're 12, 13, 14, in theory, she could maybe only do this for the next 3 or 4 years. I don't know, right? So that's it'd be boring, honestly.
That's the biggest thing that comes up when Laura and I talk about it is what would we be doing on that Saturday morning? Well, we'd be bored. There was nothing to do. And even on the moments where the kids go off with, grandparents for a day, you're sitting around like you tidy the house, that's the first thing. But after that, you're just kind of looking at each other. You kind
Well,
of
there's,
miss
there's
them.
only so much you can do. There's only so many times you can go to Napa and do wine tasting as a couple. There's only so many times you can do, whatever it is, go to the beach or go after, like, and that's great, right? You're still building memories with your significant other, but like I think, and especially the way that I grew up as well, like we were always, rock climbing or camping or, soccer or whatever it was, but it was always around friends, right? So I think and that's how our kids are, right? With your kiddos and everybody else in the friend group, it's like we would be bored without doing something with the larger friend group.
Yeah. And those are the connections that they're making for a lifetime. And then the little things that they remember that you don't pick up on. So, we talk about, you know, being tired or not being able to do everything you want to do, but just in those little moments, the little car rides or the trips to the grocery store, they're remembering stories like I don't remember that, but it was meaningful for them, and it's just about being present and being there and enjoying the ride.
That's all it is. Okay, let's get on these questions. We've only got a few minutes left. So, role models.
Hmm.
Who was your role model growing up, and how have they influenced your parenting?
I mean, I'm going to go with this straightforward answer. I mean, the your parents are your role models. You put them on the pedestal and you look up to them all the time. And my parents were always there, whether it was through sports, through school, and there was always a push to be, the best person that you can be. And my grandparents also had a significant role in that. And we didn't always see eye to eye, but there was always a framework, a structure of expectations that they were able to provide. I relied on from the time I was a little kid all the way until just recently leaving a job. Being who you are and not um, bending to anything else out in the world. You have that framework, you have that scaffolding. So I'd say parents, grandparents, family have been the biggest role models to be able to be there for my kids, give them that same solid foundation that they can build their life.
Yeah, I think that's.
What about you? Who have you modeled your behavior on as becoming a parent?
I mean, the same thing, right? It was, when you finish school, as a family group, right? I was always close with my cousins, so auntie, uncles, grandparents, godparents, parents, and it's the same kind of thing, right? When you finish school, when I was elementary, you'd always go to it was then my great auntie and uncle that's still alive today, my grandparents, and then would go on vacations with aunties, uncles. So the same thing, family dynamics, and everybody had their own little different style, right? So it was one of my uncles is a doctor in chemistry, so very analytical thinking, engineering thinking, sort of different style. One of my others was an entrepreneur, so different style. Obviously, well, one set of grandparents was in World War Two, and the
Mm,
other one was a little bit younger, so just missed actually being deployed. So totally different parenting style. One happy to be alive, basically.
yeah.
So yeah, it kind of went through all of it, and I think you take a little piece of that as you parent as well, right? Going back to that one thing I try and really drill down is so easy to like kind of blow your top and
Yeah.
shout, and I try not to do that as best as possible because raising your voice, it doesn't give authority, right? And I think maybe years and years and years ago, children should be seen and not heard mentality. The raising of the voice was a big thing, and I try and stay away from that as much as possible because it just, for my kids especially, doesn't do anything for them. They actually go the other way. They just turn off. They listen less when there's volume involved. So.
No, that's what we've also learned too, is when you ask nicely the first couple of times, they know they have until you raise your voice. So having that be the consequence and getting real big and puffed. And just going back to the Dr. Becky comment, getting in their mind, and this works well with spouses as well. Like you have your own train of thought, they have their own train of thought. Just because it's important to you right in that moment, you've been thinking about it for the last 10 minutes, doesn't mean it's on their radar. So being able to talk to them a little bit, meet them where they are, is a little more effective.
All right, last one before we get out of it till next week. Hopes and dreams.
Mhm.
What are your biggest hopes and dreams for your children's future? How do you prepare your kids for the challenges they will face as they grow older?
This came up a little bit in our call of there's been a way of doing things for a long time, and we're at this, I mean, whether it's technology or evolutionary, we've there's no one path anymore. It's not get good grades, go to high school, go to college, work the next 25, 30 years in the same job. There's so many opportunities and options out there that I think having your kid be too rigid in thought and say, I want you're going to be a doctor, you're going to be a lawyer, you're going to be that isn't going to work for this generation. So I think from a who they are, they're at their core, that's what we're really trying to build. That my hope is that we're establishing a foundation for them that they can rely upon to be the best version of themselves they can be for the rest of their lives, no matter what troubles or curveballs come their way. And the overall aspiration is having that open mind to do whatever they love to do and what they're good at doing. I think finding that combination, and we talk on the struggle all the time. It's really difficult because you want to make good money, you want to have a great house, you want to have a great car, you want to hang with the right friend group. But 15, 20 years down the line, you find that you might not have been optimizing for the right outcome. And I think the hope for them is we, show them everything that they can be and every opportunity out there. But at the end of the day, let them be their own people. And we're always going to support them 110%, but give them the opportunity to be who they want to be.
Totally. Yeah, my biggest thing is make mistakes. Try and take as many risks as you can that are, not dangerous.
Yeah.
Make mistakes and then learn from those mistakes. Simple as that. And hopefully through the years of parenting, you've got that core of seeing the mistake, how far can you push it, and then not going too far that's a critical one. But then obviously having the support if it is critical that we can help, and don't be shy or embarrassed not to tell us or talk to us. But keep pushing the envelope, keep open doors, walk through every open door and opportunity that you have. And again, just referring back to the dance stuff, I think it's great. Being in the audition side of it is there's four people, they like you or they don't like you.
Yeah.
And that is literally the world, right? You could have the best grades, the same way that you and I grew up. I got the qualifications, I've got the experience, I've got all these things ready for this next role, and I don't get it. Well, that's bullshit. I've done everything to the book that
Yeah.
was put in place for me, and I still didn't get it. So I try and educate the kids that, look, those four people that you dance in front of every week is going to be the rest of your life. You may be the best person in the room, but if somebody just doesn't like you or the way that you are, you're just not going to get that job. And that's okay. Go through another open door, right? And
Yeah.
go find the next one.
Yeah. And it ties back the same way. And that the judging subjective and life is subjective. On the baseball games over the weekend, there was an expectation that they were the best on the field. You walk in, you didn't have it that day. That doesn't take anything away from what you've done in the past or anything away from the future, but it's a learning episode to, try a different tactic, try a different approach.
Punched in the face, you gotta get up. So
Yep. Well, I appreciate all the questions and the commentary. Next week, we're super excited. We're going to start bringing on guests and interviews to the Struggle Bubble, and we'll start seeding that a little bit on social media over the next couple of days on the guests that we're going to have. But as always, if you have any questions or commentary, we are on social media on Instagram, the Struggle Bubble Pod. Also available Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube. With that, we'll close this episode. Craig, appreciate you joining in person.
here we go. If you've not subscribed, please subscribe. That was the last thing I was going to say. With getting subscribers, we are getting the guests and we are getting the Q&A out there. So please subscribe if you haven't already.
Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.
Adios.